Hello, everybody. We are live. I
We're
am
live.
Gabby Rudd. Yep, this is
Good
Sunil.
morning. Yeah, so I'll kick off. Thanks, Gabby, for turning this thing on. So welcome. My name is Sunil Sharma. I'm in Chilliwack, British Columbia, on the west coast of Canada right now. Just taking a little break, visiting my mom, and got to experience my first travel since the pandemic. It was what a joy! What a world we're in. I actually forgot to take my laptop bag out of my backpack, which I don't think I've ever done in my life. I didn't even remember that was a thing. So now we're getting back to life. Hopefully, wherever you're tuning in from, things are safe and improving. So I just wanted to kick off. So again, my name is Sunil Sharma. I'm the managing director of the Techstars Toronto Accelerator. And we have an exciting thing happening. We are experiencing our own moment of growth alongside many of the companies that we've had the good fortune of working with and investing in. We ourselves are growing, and we've recently added a second Techstars Toronto program to the mix. And so what we're doing here today is we're reaching out and hopefully connecting with many of you to tell you a little bit more about Techstars Toronto, and also to introduce you to 2 or 3 of our recent founders, CEOs of companies that have just gone through Techstars Toronto to get a little bit of their own experience. And I'll also introduce in just a second Gabby Rudd, who will be the program manager for this upcoming class here in Toronto. Off the top, I'll say that Techstars Toronto is what we call a city program. So that means it does not have any specific industry focus, and it doesn't operate with a corporate partner. So many of the Techstars you'll discover, if you go to the website techstars.com, you will see that we have a great number of very well-known corporate partners that help run Techstars accelerators with us all around the world. But we also have some accelerators which are referred to as city programs, which are funded essentially by Techstars ourselves directly from our venture fund. And we don't have to invest in companies that follow any particular industry vertical. So really what we do is we try to bias towards the best founders we can find, or the best founders who find us and doing the most incredible things. And as long as we feel that we are in an area where we can help and where our mentors can help and where the company that you're building has some relevance to the network that we have across the Toronto area, across Canada, and the world. I just want to touch upon that last part, the world. We are recruiting globally. In fact, you're going to meet some founders who, in fact, none of them come from Toronto. Even our program manager is not from Toronto, which is interesting. I'm the only one, and I'm speaking to you from British Columbia. So this is actually quite ironic, but that's just what Techstars does. We recruit globally. We are truly the worldwide investment platform, and we seek the best entrepreneurs from across the globe. So let me just say that I'm going to introduce Gabby right now, who's been working in Chicago for Techstars Chicago, and but lives in Cincinnati, which I just love. So Gabby, please allow me to let you introduce yourself, and then we'll go around and let Seymour and Marina say hello.
Absolutely. Thank you, Sunil. Hi, everybody. So glad that you're here. I can't wait to answer the questions. And just so you guys know, any questions that you have, you're just going to put in the chat on the right-hand side, and we will go around as a group to answer those for you guys. But I am Gabby Rudd, like Sunil said. I was a co-founder for a startup for 3 years and then joined Techstars to help other founders. So I've now gone through 2 programs with Techstars Chicago, and now I guess that would be 22 companies that I've worked with so far, and have really, really enjoyed it. Sunil, I think give them a little bit of background, I think, on how I think that was helpful to those founders. Something that they say a lot is the network. Like, we have a very large network globally and a huge mentor pool that is constantly helping them out. I was even speaking to a founder this morning, and he was saying that there was a woman that he wanted to meet with and like get her advice on their company. And he had sent her tons of emails. She had never responded until he joined Techstars. I reached out to her because we have that name behind us, and she immediately responded to them. And now she's one of their lead mentors and meets with them weekly to give them advice on their company. And I think that that is something pretty powerful that we bring to the table. Another thing that I think is really helpful to the founders, just in general, is their class dynamic. And maybe Marina and Seymour can speak to that a little bit. But being in a class with other people that are trying to accomplish the same things that you are is, I think, really helpful. And you end up building long-lasting relationships, even way after Techstars, that there's founders that end up doing weekly meetings or become really good friends, or maybe they stop doing that company and start a company with each other. So I think that's just an important thing to note as well.
Yeah, and actually, Gabby, I love that you've sort of witnessed 2 recent Techstars batches, including one that's going right now. In fact, your demo day, I think, is coming just about a day or 2 before we kick off.
Absolutely.
Here in Toronto.
Yeah.
So maybe in a minute, I'll ask you to provide some additional comments just on what your perspective is on the growth of the entrepreneurs individually and how they benefit from connecting with the mentors, and also what we're going to do. The fact that we will have Gabby helping us here in Canada is we're going to be able to expand our network further and really tap into the incredible network of investors, VC funds, angel investors, tech entrepreneurs across the US Midwest, where the Techstars Chicago program, which is one of our most esteemed and long-running Techstars accelerators. And it's always actually occurred to me that despite the geographic proximity of Toronto and Chicago, and we have direct flights that take about an hour, we're both kind of similar cities, similar populations, underpinned by great university research and innovation. Yet there's really not a lot of substance happening in terms of business between Toronto and Chicago. So maybe we'll be able to unlock some of that and really help build both ecosystems. I'm going to introduce Marina, and I know Marina can only stay with us for the first half of this call, and then she has to go. But I will just say that having Marina in Techstars Toronto was just such a boost on all levels, including morale and just energy on these calls that we would do, these Zoom calls that would run basically every day, all the way from Ho Chi Minh City, Vietnam is where we found Marina. But as a Canadian woman, sole founder, female founder, first-time founder, building an amazing sustainability themed company in Vietnam. We just had tremendous enjoyment working with you. So Marina, please introduce yourself and tell us a bit more about Equal.
Sure. So hi, everyone. My name is Marina, and I am the founder and CEO of Equal. So Equal is a sustainable brand that provides 100% plastic-free and compostable products for everyday single-use plastics. So we do straws, utensils, and all made out of materials like rice, grass, coconut, sugarcane, and coffee. So really trying to fight against plastic pollution. That's our mission and our goal. And I'm so glad that there are a lot of you here today. I know I had invited some people from Vietnam who I think are actually on the call or the Zoom, not Zoom, Crowdcast today. Sorry, they're on the Crowdcast today. So I guess my goal here is to just really convey what a big benefit Techstars was for our business. I'm a first-time founder, also a solo founder, so very rare. So it's very difficult for businesses like ours to succeed or let alone survive past a year. And I'm happy to share basically my experience with Techstars and the community, and also like basically how it changed the trajectory of our business too. So happy to answer any questions today.
Yeah, and actually, before I let you jump, or before we shift to Seymour, one of the things that I think is really incredible is that, to our knowledge, this was the first ever investment that Techstars has made in a Vietnamese startup, and it will not be the last. In fact, we're already talking to more, and we run our program at the moment. We're running virtually, which adds the additional opportunity for entrepreneurs and companies to come from all sorts of different markets around the world. And I know you're very passionate about drawing attention to a country which is kind of like your second home, I guess. You're born in Canada, raised in Canada, but living in Vietnam as a Vietnamese Canadian. It's an amazing story. What can you say about what you've noticed in terms of the rise of the tech ecosystems across Vietnam?
Well, I will say this. I think Vietnam is just like a lot of other developing countries right now. There is an appetite for innovation. There's an appetite for startups, but having the resources available locally to support startups or to even allow them to scale or build the knowledge, that's not something that is prevalent currently. And so I think having a program like Techstars, which is available globally and really taking in global startups, I think that will really change the game for a lot of countries like Vietnam, Cambodia, wherever it is that really does not have that fully developed startup ecosystem yet. So I think that this is a game changer. I'm really hoping I see more, companies from Vietnam and around the world in Techstars, because I think Techstars has so much value to add. And just having Techstars in Toronto or in North America, I think is, keeping it very exclusive. So I'm happy that the program is now more global. Oh, there you guys, everyone. Hi, Puppet.
Yes, oh, good.
Everyone, look at Vietnam. Vietnam is a great place. Startups there are amazing. They're innovative. And so I'm hoping some more join the program.
Oh, that's awesome. And then I think for those, I think we mentioned, but Marina at the moment is actually where I am, in another part of British Columbia, just an hour away from me. So maybe we'll have another patio drink. We only met for the first time about 3 weeks ago in Toronto, as Marina's sort of doing your world tour right now. And I think part of it is predicated on an unfortunate situation, which is the higher incidence of COVID that is currently in Vietnam. And there is a bit of a lockdown in the country, which is actually affecting businesses like yours. And I know we have to get through that in the short term.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, we're praying that Vietnam gets through this. It's been pretty bad there, and I'm also hoping that part of this, part of the Ask Me Anything sort of session today, will be to help some of these startups who are struggling right now, who deserve to have help, who deserve to survive through COVID. So I'm hoping that helps some.
So turning to another first. So this gentleman, Seymour Rasulov, I've just had such I would even say, Seymour, I'm going to say we've become very close friends, you and I. We share so much in common. We've never, really had the chance to be together in person, but it's another first in that this was the first investment, to my knowledge, that we were able to make in a company from Azerbaijan, Baku, Azerbaijan. And now I know so much about Azerbaijan, and of course, I'm coming to the Formula One next year and I'm going to stay at your wonderful apartment with you and your family. So, tell us a little bit about yourself and your journey with Whelp.
First of all, Sunil, Gaibe, and everyone else, including Marina and the audience, thank you for this opportunity to be in front of you guys. I'm glad to see, as much as I can see, that everyone is safe and healthy. And if anyone is sick, from the relatives, from the audiences, wishing them a fast recovery. Hopefully everybody will get safe and healthy. I think there are 3 points that I want to touch specifically during this, what do you call it, the time of ours during the discussion. Number one is that how companies can actually reach out from unheard markets, right? I mean, we are literally middle of nowhere. And I bet many people had not heard about Azerbaijan just before Techstars. And then the second thing is that how Techstars is actually giving an opportunity for these startups from where they were basically unable to discover. So number one is how these companies should have the courage to reach out to these high programs. And number two, how Techstars, the platform, and the individuals in that platform, including Sunil and Tariq, how they discover startups and give them a chance. And the third one is how to get the best out of it once you are discovered and once you have given a chance. Because out of 3,000, 5,000, 10,000 companies, only 10 get to be selected, 10 get to be lucky, right? And once you have that once in a lifetime opportunity, how do you get the most out of it? How do you get like the best out of it, so that, because it comes only once in a lifetime. I mean, unless you are Onyeka, he gets twice. So he's lucky enough. He's one of our batch guys. He got to do Techstars twice. He's twice lucky, I would say.
Yeah. I just love hearing the comments about the other people in our batch, and the fact that we ran virtually. We had to do it, of course. We're going to do this again for those who are considering applying. But that doesn't mean that we won't build real meaningful friendships and connections across the founders, between the program managers and program directors and the founders, the global network that we have at Techstars. We have now thousands of companies, whereas we don't meet all of our alumni companies, we do have a way to make sure that connections happen, and the relationships that form early on, they seem to me to be as strong, if not stronger, than the ones when we had in-person programs, when we had founders who either just came from the local city or who had traveled and rented an Airbnb and showed up at our WeWork for 3 or 4 months. So I actually don't think that we lose out on that, and the friendships and care that we have for each other. It's evident to me. I'm going to ask you, Seymour. So I also want to let people know, how did we find these two amazing entrepreneurs? What was the point of discovery? In the case of Marina, she was introduced to me directly by a very prominent CEO from the Waterloo, Toronto area, somebody that I have a lot of high regard for, who's built a great company, who I just know has a good eye for talented people and a high bar. And he suggested if I'd like to meet this woman that he's known for quite some time, who's doing something remarkable. And that, of course, led me to say, of course, I want to meet. And we started, and he's become an advisor for Marina's company as well. And in the case of Seymour and Whelp, it was through the application. It was actually through the F Success, and there's a link. I put it a bit earlier in the chat. I'll put it again, but that's how you apply to Techstars. Everybody has to actually do that, even if we already know you, because it's how we, put our legal notes on and move the applications through the various stages. And I was just reviewing, and I saw a company called Whelp from a place that I honestly didn't know much about, Azerbaijan. Certainly knew where it was, and maybe had some basic understanding, but had never interacted with an Azerbaijani tech team or founder team. But when I looked at the company, what occurred to me is that it actually has a lot of similarities to companies that I would see over here in North America in terms of the product, the customer traction, the profile of the founder team, the vision for where the company is going. But they happen to be in a, not only an emerging market, I would say, but an emerging market, like one that we don't really even understand what's happening in innovation. And so I thought, well, if we were simply to, bring that company over into our network, why couldn't they grow as fast and be as successful as some of the incumbents, which in the space of Whelp have multi-billion-dollar valuations? There are companies that are in the exact space or in a similar adjacent space. Every company has its own unique advantages and business models, but are worth billions of dollars. And so, Seymour, maybe I'll ask you: Did you feel that when you started to discover more and more of the North American and European companies, let's say, that reminded you of yourself, that you felt that you're absolutely able to compete head to head with those companies?
First of all, Techstars Toronto was an opportunity for us, for our voices to be heard. So that was extremely important. And I think Marina's case, where it came from a direct connection, and our case that we came through application, and then some other companies, these are really good examples for different types of founders that they could invest into networking. They have a fair voice. There's a fair play if you come through an application or if you come through connection. So there's definitely a place at Techstars Toronto program for everyone if you have a solid case. I would say that we got lucky with the application. Also, I think the people that discovered us, Sunil, you, and then Tariq, and the application process, which is straightforward, which is simple, direct. And that gave us an opportunity to have our voices heard. So imagine a huge crowd, right? And then someone yells out, and then you say, hey, you guys coming, right? And then there are so many startups, like at least 100, 200, and then you pick one and you change those founders' lives forever. That's it. If you read the book Flow by Mihail, he has a difficult last name. I can't say his last name. Mihailson, the book is called Flow. He says, the moment you go through an experience, your personality changes. The moment you go through Techstars Toronto program, your company changed for good, forever. The league that you're playing now is different. You jump the curve, just like Guy Kawasaki says. I would say that having that opportunity change our, not only the league that we play in, but also our vision. From first floor, you see the horizon differently. From 20th floor, you see horizon differently. The sunrise is different from different floors. Right now with Techstars, I would say we went up to 15th to 20th floor to enjoy the sunrise. I think having access to that market, as well as having Techstars label, Techstars logo, opens tons of opportunities and brings a lot of credibility and confidence to us as well.
I will say, so Gabby, I'm sure you can monitor the chat, and there probably are some questions coming up. I will just, as you find one, I will comment that one thing I notice, and this is really important for the entrepreneurs who are maybe watching us from other countries, is really this is a discovery platform where investors can see a company in the context of where they are already familiar. So where they are already understanding technology and how to value investment opportunities. But we're looking at companies from emerging markets or distant markets where one may feel that, of course, there is going to be rapid growth in Africa or in Southeast Asia or in Latin America or in Eastern Europe. But how do we engage with those companies? How do we put some money and support entrepreneurs? It's not an easy point of discovery. So when you have a program like Techstars in a city like Toronto and you are able to attract some companies from different markets, it becomes an opportunity for these investors to engage. And there's some, I think at the beginning, they've been a bit slow to understand, but now what's happening is the results are starting to speak for themselves. The companies are actually, in many cases, outperforming a lot of the local companies you might see. And that's in large part, well, I would say mostly due to the founders, just picking great founders, but also the markets, the size of the markets that we're talking about are quite large. And let's not lose sight of the fact that Canada, although a great country, is a country of only 38 million people, relatively small market, and on the doorstep of a big market. But still, there are many markets around the world that are being disrupted by innovation and tech. And so this is a way to bring those opportunities to investors localized, and in some cases, even bring the founders. So there are immigration opportunities as well. And so while it's not a requirement, it is possible for CEOs and co-founders of companies to file for permanent residency applications, or at a minimum work permits and visas, and they can come here and spend some time and maybe even expand their office and have a second home. I know Marina's gonna, I don't want to keep Marina too long, so maybe if there's a question or two, Gabby, that you found, we can start with Marina, and then she can drop off. Do we have a question, Gabby, that you found?
Absolutely. Yeah. So one question from Gerard, it looks like. He said, I'd love to know your view on pre-revenue companies that are focused on growth before monetization. Does that affect your decision process?
Okay, I guess that's for me. Pre-revenue companies are certainly the very interesting companies. All companies are at one point pre-revenue companies, and then things change. So we don't have a firm rule that the company requires a minimum amount of revenue or the product is in market. It's really a fine balance, and it's more of an art than a science, right? You have to, we have to really understand the entrepreneurs and the technology that's being built and their own capacity to build it. When is it going to hit the market, and what market is it disrupting? And so all those things together become part of just a fit analysis. And sometimes if a company does look really promising but is pre-revenue or it hasn't launched yet, it may or may not be an immediate fit for Techstars. It depends. But the beauty of our program is we run year-round all over the world. So you're talking right now just to Techstars in Toronto, but of course, Gabby's in Techstars Chicago, and they're on a different cycle. The minute just after we start, they will be starting their recruitment process, and you might see Gabby on another Crowdcast, although maybe not right away, because she'll be helping out in Toronto, but eventually back, and you can apply there, and you can also apply multiple times. In fact, that's even encouraged because and that comes back to that F6S link. Maybe I'll put it back in a minute again. We put some notes when we look at companies, and sometimes when we talk to founders, we put some notes, and those notes stay. And so the next time another team is looking at the same company, they can see what's happened since then. The company sort of said they were about to launch in Q2, and they're launching with Heroku or with some other launch partner, and then we can go and look and see how that did, or something on Product Hunt, and we can put the notes in, sort of see the growth and make lines out of the dots.
Absolutely. Even in Techstars Chicago right now, one of the companies that is in our current class, this was his third or fourth time actually applying to Techstars Chicago before actually getting in. And we noticed that. And it shows that you are really interested in the program. You really want to be a part of this. And like Sunil said, like lines, not dots, then we can connect how the progress that you're making through these application processes. So that's one thing. Jason said to Gerard's question, is a company with established revenue over, say, 1 to 2 years looked upon adversely?
No, I mean, let's talk to Seymour. Whelp is certainly not a brand new company. Whelp has been in business with revenue. In fact, Seymour, when we first met, you were just about at break-even profitability, and that was then. That was before, we really even issued you the offer. Yes,
we were at about 10K per month, but by the end of August, we hit the 59K MRR. So Techstars actually helped us, not maybe directly in terms of attracting the customers, but then we edited the website, we add the Techstars logo to our presentations, we are Techstars portfolio. I've seen some founders putting Techstars to their names on LinkedIn as well, in parentheses and brackets. But at the same time, it gave us the confidence and the vision. Because until Techstars, we were like trying multiple things, but doing the Techstars specifically through the Mentor Madness sessions, also talking to many people in the industry. What is one of the best things Techstars Toronto did for us is to connect us with the right people. And that's through your network, Sunil, and that's through Tariq's hard work to connect all the people in the right time. And they helped us clear out the vision. So we were like a little bit of blurry. Now, if you use Google Meet, there are 3 types of blurry backgrounds. You have seen them, like a little bit blurry, too blurry, and there's nothing. So we had that little bit blurry, right? So we had a chance. If we not get discovered by Techstars, we go a little more blurry. But Techstars helped us clear that. Now we have a clear vision.
Yeah.
And that helped us increase the revenue.
Yeah. I think back to that question, Whelp had been an operating company for how many years before we joined up?
2 years. 2 years. This was the 3rd year. And we actually applied to Techstars before. And the program manager, Techstars Toronto, Tariq, found us we were Techstars Citibank. We applied. We really wanted to be part of Techstars. But seems like it was meant to be with you guys, which we're very happy.
Yeah. In fact, if Aaron Albert's able to join from Mind, he'll have a funny story on that as well. Marina, Equo, I mean, you started Equo, I believe, after you landed in Vietnam and were spending some time. But how old was the company before basically we've talked for the first time?
Yeah, so when we had talked, the company was about 11 months old. So for us, we had a very different experience. So as I mentioned, I was a first-time founder. I had actually not heard about Techstars before I actually talked to Sunil. I had no idea what Techstars was. And when my friend and now advisor had referred us over to Techstars, I was like, I have no idea what this program is. So I was very brand new to this entire investment space, angel investment and everything. So I would say I was probably one of the greenest people when it came to Techstars. I was probably the greenest person in the program. But I will say this, and I saw a question here, which is what is the focus of the program? I think for different startups that join the program, there are different focuses. For our startup, we were just trying to gain the knowledge of what the heck the investment industry was like, how to actually grow our startup and scale through networks, through connections, and then also how to really pitch our business. I had no idea, I had no experience how to create a pitch deck or pitch our business. And we basically got all that through Techstars. We got crash courses in how to make connections, how to talk to people, how to pitch people who don't care about your industry or category, and how to pitch people who do. So we had a lot of experience in that way. And one thing that I think as we emphasize a lot, which is connections within Techstars. I think sometimes we gloss over this, but the connections that you make with other founders is extremely important. One of the things you may realize in the Techstars program is a lot of these founders are experienced. They've, they have exited, they have IPO'd, or they've run successful companies, or have been, successful executives in big corporations. And so when you're talking and you're getting knowledge from people, it's not just from the huge network of mentors that Techstars gives you access to, but it's also with other founders who have been in your shoes and can guide you through like the process of having a startup as well. So for us, it was a very different experience. We were very young, but I think that was a great experience and very different for us and what we took away versus maybe Seymour.
Yeah. You can sign off, Marina. I'll just say that, you know, the fact that we were able to meet, and it's true, you didn't apply to Techstars, you didn't know what Techstars was, you weren't part of this kind of, you know, tech Illuminati, people who know all about accelerators or seed funds or any of that. You were just doing something that really, to me, it was, and to Tarek, it became clear that you were doing something that came from the heart. And it was an important product that the world needs, these products, these sustainable consumer goods you have. But also you have a background that we were able to figure out has some real advantages to making a product like that into a success. And your own experience in consumer packaged goods, in the marketing industry. I'll ask anybody here to just do a simple Google search on her company, Equo, and you will be astounded at the amount of media hits and the amount of articles and how many times she's been on major TV shows, from Shark Tank Vietnam to, you know, I think the reason you're in the US is you were filming for something pretty impressive there. And so that actually is important. Companies that are in your space need to have that lift, and people need to know how to get, you know, consumer and business market share, B2B sales. And so I think you have that based on your other background before, right? In a non-tech startup environment.
Yes, absolutely. I mean, it worked that, like, you know, I had experience working at, you know, big CPG companies like Unilever and Bacardi and LG before. So I think that helped. But I think I just mentioned that primarily because it doesn't matter really what stage, what experience you have. Techstars can help you at every level. And so I'm a big fan. I sound like literally like I'm drinking the Techstars Kool-Aid, but I'm not, because I will say I did not know what Techstars was before. So this is not me like being a lifelong Techstars person. This is me just based on my own experience with Sunil and the program. So I hope you all enjoy the rest of this. I do have to jump off.
Yeah, you jump off, and I'm just saying Marina's link, the demo day link is there. I really want you to take that link, put it in another browser tab. And I think, Marina, you were the third pitch. I think it was the third out of the 10. People have to see, the fifth pitch. Okay, the fifth pitch out of the 10. You have to watch them all, but watch Marina's. It was game changing. Okay, thanks, Marina. Thanks,
Marina.
I'll see you on a patio, maybe downtown Vancouver this week. Okay, another question, Gabby?
Yeah, we actually got a great question from Tiffany on LinkedIn, and she said, how do you guys handle all the different competing priorities from all the portfolio companies?
Oh, well, I mean, if there are priorities in terms of what the needs are that the companies, whether, you know, some companies are really pressured by fundraising or by different partnerships, and we try to, you know, we try to create momentum to help all companies that need help. We do one-on-one meetings with every company every week, and you know this, Gabby, from how it works in Chicago. In fact, Gabby, maybe I'll even ask you. You've been seen from the associate role in Chicago. How do the different, you know, I guess the question is about different industry focuses and different things they're doing. How do you help them all?
Absolutely. So the way that the program runs is that obviously we have a ton of different workshops, and they could be for financial modeling, they could be for SEO, they could be for marketing, they could be for branding. You're going to do pitch practice, like Marina was saying. And also, like Sunil just said, you're also going to meet with our core team weekly for a one-on-one, and we'll go through anything that you have trouble with or that you're focused on that week and give you strategy advice and how we're going to execute on that with your KPIs and what you're trying to accomplish that week. We also, because our network is so large, you might be, if your industry is in healthcare, then we have a ton of mentors that are specifically focused in that vertical, where we can connect you with these people that are going to be able to give you really good advice in that area. And then there might be somebody else who is doing like with Marina, like packaged goods, and we're going to connect you with somebody there that for these like very specific questions that you have. So I don't know, Sunil.
Yeah.
Am I missing anything?
No. I mean, Seymour, your we didn't really talk much about, well, feel free to, but we're talking about a customer experience platform based essentially on chat that works on a whole bunch of different channels. That you were the only company in the batch that was focused on CX and omni-channel chat. Did you feel that the ability of the overall Techstars was there to help all companies kind of equally and provide the help that was needed at the right time?
Software as a service is a bit difficult to understand. Or they always say that if you can explain your startup to a 7-year-old, then you got it, right? But when it comes to Salesforce, when it comes to these drift, when it comes to these SaaS programs, like SaaS startups, it gets a bit more complex and complicated. That being said, Techstars Toronto made it very easy for us and gave us the ear to listen to us, right? What we do, how we do it differently. And what I liked about Techstars Toronto is that they did not ask cliche questions. One time I actually got mad at an investor in New York because his question was like, how are you different from others? And I was like, stop asking these questions. Like, ask me how I treat my customers. Ask me what is my go-to-market strategy. Ask me how I take care of my existing customers, that the lifetime value expands from 1 year to 3 years. Don't ask me, there's no difference. It's Uber, it's Lyft. They don't have a difference. It's this and this. There's Techstars and YC. There's no difference. There's just how they treat the ones inside. So Techstars Toronto gave us enough attention as a SaaS company, and at the same time did not make us go through these painful cliche questions. And that was good for us because then we finally got a platform we could express ourselves. At the same time, Sunil, this is important for founders to basically open up, because founders always try to show their best sides, right? Companies flourishing, we got the revenue, everything is going fine, but it's not all the pink glass all the time. There is, like the, what do you call it? Hidden sides or the back street. So what we were able to do, we were able to talk about these things with the mentors, with the management at the Techstars Toronto. And it gave us an opportunity to relax, put the guard down, think clearly, and then take necessary steps.
Yeah.
Otherwise, I wouldn't be able to do that.
Yeah, and as I think about that question, we have, it's a good question. We have, as I mentioned earlier, we have some very specialized Techstars accelerators. If you're into healthcare, we have a Techstars United Health in Minneapolis. If you're doing something to disrupt the future of work, or the hybrid new models of hybrid work that we're experiencing, we have a Techstars Workforce Accelerator, which is based in Denver, Colorado. If you're into fintech, we have Barclays and so we have an ABN AMRO in Amsterdam. So we have some very specialized programs that have, depth of mentorship that's aligned with probably most, if not all, the companies in the batch. Here at Techstars Toronto, as I said, we are a city program, so we're quite horizontal. Added to that, I will profess to say that I don't have deep industry expertise in any industry, to be honest. So I'm not biased to be, maybe that's a good thing to admit or not, but what my approach is to really leverage the network, to really leverage those who are the experts, and to add them as needed based on the companies that we have in the portfolio. And also to leverage the network from those specialized programs. We're spinning up a new blockchain accelerator in Seattle with a well-known company in the crypto space now called Filecoin. And there happens to be a company that I'm talking to that is in that very vertical. But it's I'm suggesting that we could maybe help them a lot here at Techstars Toronto by pulling in the resources from the other programs and by accessing those mentors. And the fact that we're in this virtual model right now makes that even a better, more plausible opportunity to pursue. And so and compound or added to that is the fact that Toronto itself, for those of you who are from outside the city or haven't been fully following the rise of tech, Toronto is one of the top tech cities on the planet. We are punching way above our weight. If you read the announcements and the amount of tech companies that are deciding to come to the city and establish and put deep roots and hire a lot of the talent. It's predicated in large part on the talent. The talent is predicated in large part on immigration. So we have a city that is, I think, 52% foreign born, and a lot of people who come with a natural entrepreneurial ability and background, who then you add that to technical training and computer science and advanced degrees in machine learning, and then you add some areas where we have some specialization like e-commerce. We have an enormous Shopify presence, for instance, and that's creating a lot of entrepreneurs building direct to consumer and e-commerce companies. So, you know, we have a lot of depth in the city and across Canada. And so there are many mentors who have been building those companies over the past 2 to 10 years, and we happen to know them. So our strength is we know those people. We have our way of tracking them and getting to know them and asking them to help, and they generally do. They know us and they're happy to help. And Seymour had met many of them while he was in Techstars Toronto, as he sat all the way in Baku, Azerbaijan. And now to level up one step further, I have hopes and plans that Gabby will even bring an additional network from Chicago and the cities around the U.S. Midwest and even beyond, and we'll bring them into the program to help the companies, whoever they happen to be.
Absolutely. Thank you. Okay, we have, it's kind of 3 questions in one, but does Techstars accept idea stage companies into the cohort? I'm going to pass that to Sunil. I have not seen that.
Yeah, idea stage is again, it could happen, depends on the founders. If you are a repeat founder, Seymour mentioned somebody earlier named Onike, who came from a company from Lagos, Nigeria, well known to us in that he was a second-time founder. His new company wasn't a concept company, so it doesn't apply to your question, but it's certainly a founder that we would be crazy not to try to spend more time getting to know what the new company or what the current company is all about. But I would recommend something. If you are very much idea stage, I would actually recommend you join a pre-accelerator. And so I have happened to been associated with one. I've got Gabby now helping out, and Seymour has been a mentor. It's called Founder Institute. It's not Techstars. It's not even part of Techstars. It operates on its own. It's based in Palo Alto, California, operates worldwide. I kind of describe it as like a minor league hockey team. If Techstars was the NHL team, if we were the Chicago Blackhawks, let's say for you, Gabby. In a way, it's a development league, but it's a really intense accelerator. It lasts for the same time duration. It's not an easy thing to complete. The founders who have gone through it will tell you that. And in many cases, they then get picked up into another investment program. It doesn't have to be Techstars. It can be any investor or any other accelerator. But it's really high quality vetted talent. I've essentially have been a volunteer running it here in Toronto for the last 8 years and have well over 300 companies that have graduated and some very, very strong ones. And sometimes so strong that the idea of making offers to those grads isn't even something I can do because they've already kind of grown too fast and their term sheets are, too expensive and whatnot, valuations too high. So despite wanting to join, can't do it. So it's actually kind of makes me smile on the inside that happened. But on the other hand, it's a company we didn't get. Now, even before that, we have our community programs and things like Startup Weekend and many of the ways that we can kind of help entrepreneurs really validate an idea, potentially meet co-founders and build their team and really kind of shape what it is they're trying to do at the at the idea stage before things go too far in your life, before you quit your day job or before you put in too much money into something that may not have the viability that you think it might. So that sits at the beginning, pre-accelerator, then the accelerator. And then as Seymour and Marina are experiencing post-accelerator, now we're talking about raising, millions of dollars from investors and really growing these companies and making them into, big international tech companies.
Absolutely. One question was, what do you look for in a founder?
Well, I think, like I said, art not a science, but it's a combination of the abilities of the founders, and also usually a team, sole founders. Although Marina was a sole founder, it can happen, but we usually bias towards having co-founders. In the case of Seymour, I'll use Seymour as an example. He's here. You can tell. Incredibly articulate, dynamic person. When I got to know him and I got to sort of hear him, I watched some talks he had given on YouTube, and he's got an interesting social media presence. Very passionate person building something that he cares deeply about. Has a co-founder, Enrique Noor, very technical CTO, has been built, this is a technology company. This is a software company, as he said. So somebody has to build it. I can't build a software company myself. So it was clear that there's a nice balance of a team. And then beyond that, I think even when we first met, you had between 8 and 10 employees, a lot of engineers and developers in Azerbaijan. And so that looked like a good foundation and something you cared deeply about and had been at for a while, and great product. The world needs it. We're completely moving into automation and chat, and we need all the multi-channel chats, and it shouldn't just be one product for, an expensive product or two for just the North American market. So that was kind of what led me to think this is an interesting company and worth making an investment in. Was I right, Seymour?
Absolutely. At the same time, I think founders shouldn't try to be like what they are looking in for us, but at the same time, what they can bring to the program as well, or after the selection process, but even during the selection process, how they can add value to Techstars program, or how they're going to benefit from the program. Mm-hmm. One of the biggest challenges for entrepreneurs or founders, I think, is to get discovered and then to be able to express what they're doing. Maybe they're doing something great, but they never had a chance to express it, or they haven't worked on it. I still at times struggle with 1 minute elevator pitch. And what I do immediately, I go back to the video on the first day Tariq and Sunil shared how to do elevator pitch. I still have that 4-minute video from a Techstars mentor, and it's on my top list on YouTube, because I constantly go to that because it refreshes me, it helps me practice. So when founders apply for the program, I think the collaboration, the partnership between two co-founders, between founders, as well as the team dedication, connectivity with the team. Of course, the product matters, but I think that's the second or the third, like you said. So.
Yeah.
Thank you, Seymour.
I put I once again pasted the link, because you're talking about videos and applications. We would love to, see your application, watch your video. We watch them all. And we'll put some notes, and even if we can't get in touch this time, it's very common that Techstars may receive 500, 600, 700 applications, and we can only choose in the end 10 companies, possibly 12, although we're probably going to make 10 selections this time based on the short time we have. But we will encourage you to apply again, or suggest you may want to join a pre-accelerator or do something where you're at to just advance the company a little bit and get ready for outside investment. I mean, Techstars is it's an accelerator without question, but we are investors. So we're privately backed. We're making investments. We take some common shares. I should talk a little bit about that. In fact, I didn't say anything about it, but we make $120,000 investment, US dollars, into each company, and we take some common share equity. It's between 6 and 9%, usually 8 or 9% common shares when you blend the two investment checks that we invest at the beginning of the accelerator. So the 120,000 comes at the beginning of Techstars. It's a 20,000 and 100,000. The 100 is optional. Most companies take that money, and it's on a convertible note, usually on a $3 million cap, but it can go as high as $5 million if your company has already been valued above $3 million. That cap will raise up to $5 million US. We become shareholders, and then we have, we have an obligation to help you and to be part of your growth story for the next many, many years. In some cases, we can keep investing and be part of your subsequent funding rounds. But that depends on a few conditions, including that you need us there. And so we love to stay involved and even take an advisory board seat on a company or two when we make a follow-on investment. if there is a, maybe, Gabby, I'll turn back to you. If there's something we can start getting ready to wrap it up, and let's see more, I don't know, go to bed, I guess, in Baku. Time it is pretty late.
Well, everyone is invited to Baku for next year, Formula One. We signed another contract, so another 3 to 4 years, Formula One city circuit will be in Baku. It's super exciting. There's one special corner that you have to be a seasoned driver to pass that corner. And I can host about 10 people, so first come, first served. That's what,
Cool.
And then, yeah, so I think the Techstars batch, Toronto 2021, can fit into the apartment, so we're happy to take care of that. But if there's anything we can do, I can personally do before you guys apply for Techstars Toronto. If there's anything I can add value, please let me know. And Sunil, I'm always in debt. I always owe to Techstars Toronto for giving us the voice, giving us the platform. You and Tariq changed our lives forever. And I will always be grateful for this, always. And no matter, I don't care how it sounds, but we are very
you can make it up to me when you host me during the F1, and we have I just want some seats at the we're going to call it the Techstars Corner, that hairpin that you're talking about. We're going to have to sit there and watch,
Consider it done. You just tell me when you're arriving, that's it. And again, for those who are willing to apply or considering applying to Techstars Toronto, I would say don't even think about it. Like right away, go and fill out the application. It's a once in a lifetime opportunity. And if there's anything I can do to help, I'm available on LinkedIn. Some people got connected. So looking forward to bringing value to the conversation. And yes, the weekend begins here. It's 10:22 p.m. So I will say goodbye to everyone. Stay safe, stay healthy. Sunil, I'm always at your service.
No, thank you. You actually are. I always appreciate how giving you are. And I can't wait for you to come here. For those of you who can, please, that YouTube link, or just go to YouTube, search Techstars Toronto Demo Day. You have to watch Seymour's pitch as well. We put him in the closing spot, pitch number 10, and that's on purpose. This man is a voracious leader and has just a phenomenal company, and he brought the whole program home. So watch that pitch as well. It's 4 minutes long.
Thank you so much. Thank you. Everyone, stay safe, stay healthy. Yes. Thank you guys for hosting me and having me, and wishing everyone a great weekend.
Appreciate it. Thanks, Seymour. So Sunil, another question came in that I think is important to answer. They asked if their company has to be registered in Canada.
No, absolutely not. Many of the companies actually, as companies do, are registered in Delaware, Singapore, UK, Hong Kong, but it doesn't matter. There are some challenges in some countries for some of the countries. I'll name a couple: Iran, Venezuela. That doesn't mean we don't love Iranian founders. Persian entrepreneurs, I think, are pound for pound some of the best in the world right now, but we're not able to invest in every jurisdiction in the world. And also other investors aren't either. So we would need a corporate flip to happen into another, legal jurisdiction. In this Techstars that we're running right now, we're on a very tight, compressed time. So we are paying extra attention to the country of the country, the legal incorporation where the parent company is registered. And if there isn't enough time to do a flip right now, then I think it would just mean that we'll just wait. We're running 2 programs a year. I didn't really say anything about that, but we're running 2 programs a year. So this is going to be just great. This is just the start of that. So even if we miss you this time, we'll track and maybe grab you the next time, or another Techstars, or you'll find your success through some other path. I'm sure. I'm quite confident you will. The good companies will do well.
Absolutely.
I'll say for those we're not sure who's on the crowdcast, but if entrepreneurs are considering moving to Canada, and that's part of their short-term or long-term plan, then the Canadian incorporation will matter. If there's an interest in getting a startup visa or other types of immigration support, the parent company that owns the assets would have to become a Canadian company for the visas to be eligible for those founders. It's not a requirement, however. Although you met Seymour, he's in the process of getting his documents, and so part of his interest was having the ability to live in Canada either for a period of time or forever. It's not contingent on the company. And by the way, unlike some other programs, there are no fees involved. We don't charge any money. We're not here to try to immigrate people for the sake of visas. We're trying to just find great founders, and if there's a rationale or an interest in living here or expanding into North America, we think Canada is the place to do it.
Awesome. We have another question.
Even you may end up in Canada one day as an American. So,
I hope so. We have another question from someone. He said, or they said, what's the expectation on equity share if your co-founder is part-time?
Oh, that doesn't change anything. Equity. I mean, we invest in the company. A part-time co-founder may have other problems in terms of, you know, the investability of the company, but it doesn't have to be. It's all case by case, but it doesn't matter. We're not taking shares from any individual founder. We're just investing in the company itself.
Absolutely. We have another question. It says, in your selecting process, would you choose potential profit for Techstars and related startups over the more publicly benefited projects?
I think that question relates to impact investing, maybe, in terms of profit. I mean, we're investing in companies, and companies that have impact can lead to profit in terms of investor returns. Marina's company, Equo, which is the straws, that's certainly a company that is an ESG sustainable product. It's definitely something we need in the world. We need to do away with single-use plastics. It is a business first and foremost, but it's one that solves a pressing global problem, and that matters. So we will love to see companies like that, but we're not unlike some programs that you may
like the sustainability program and stuff like that.
Yeah, nonprofits, and you know, there are many programs that help, but we're an investment fund.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
But I agree. I think that even for me personally, coming on to the Toronto team, a big thing for me when I'm looking at applications is, and this is just a personal decision, not Techstars, but I find that stuff to be extremely important. So when I see those companies, that's kind of like a green flag to me, is that if you're doing something that is helping the planet, helping other people, that's something important to me personally.
Yeah. And even the models that, you know, on the surface you may think, well, is that a sustainable or an ESG company? Our company in Nigeria, the most recent one, we've made 4 investments in Lagos, or in Nigerian startups, but Plenty Waka, which announced a funding round just last week or 2 weeks back. That's to basically bring the Uber effect to buses and to allow people to have a better experience in booking public transit and to get to where they need to go in one of the most congested cities in the world, and one of the most difficult cities to move around in, and to bring like innovation and efficiency to that. That provides enormous public benefit, but at the same time is also, you know, an incredible business. And it seems like other investors are taking note on that as well.
Absolutely. We have about 2 minutes left, but we have another question. Our solo founder is welcome in Techstars. For Samantha, you might have not been on when Marina was on, but she was a solo founder that went through Techstars. And for Chicago, where I'm working right now, we do have a couple solo founders as well. So we do take them.
Yeah, actually in Chicago, where would you say your startups came from? Were they from the US Midwest mostly, or were they from all over?
We have one that's in London, but I think, we try to focus more on the Midwest, just because I think bigger cities, like you have the West Coast and Silicon Valley, and they end up getting all these investments. And so it's nice in the Midwest to really invest in those kinds of companies.
Mm-hmm. Good.
Yeah.
Well, I think this was great. Gabby, thank you for doing it. I know you have another job. You're still involved with Techstars Chicago, and I don't want that to fall to the wayside, but the minute that ends, you will
I'm all yours.
We'll do our
Absolutely.
own. Yeah.
And for everybody that's still on, if you guys have any questions, I've put my email in the chat. If we didn't get to your questions, I think that we covered everything. But if something else comes up that you didn't think to ask, feel free to email me. And I put a link also to important FAQs that I think probably are helpful if you want to look through that. But yeah, feel free to reach out.
Thank you all.
Awesome. Thanks, guys.